Hello vinyl community, this is Randy back today with another video. Today is going to be another episode in the series called How'd That Go? How'd That Go is the series I'm doing where I'm showing multiple versions of one song by different artists. So the song for today that we're hearing it in the background right now, A Taste of Honey. We are hearing the Martin Denny version from this album. A Taste of Honey by Martin Denny, recorded in 1963. Fantastic album. So A Taste of Honey is a song that was written for Broadway stage play called A Taste of Honey. It was written by Bobby Scott and Rick Marlow for the 1960 production. I guess A Taste of Honey, I was doing a little bit of research about it, was written by I didn't write down her name, I should have written down her name, a female British author who, I guess she originally wrote it as a novel and then she transformed it into a play so that it could be on stage. And so that was 1958, I think, and then I guess it came to Broadway, United States, and these two guys, Bobby Scott and Rick Marlow, wrote the song for the Broadway production of the play. The song has won 4 Grammy Awards. It won for Best Instrumental Theme Song in 1960. I think that must have been the version for the movie that was made. And then in 1965, Herb Alpert won another Grammy Award for the same song, for his recording of the song. So it's a very well-known song. So yeah, so I've showed you my the first one that I have, which is this Martin Denny album. So 1962 for that one. That's on Liberty Records. Can't show you that one. Floyd Cramer. Floyd Cramer did a version of it on this Swing Along with Floyd Cramer album. I love this album cover. Floyd sitting there in the swing, showing a little bit of leg down there between his pants and his socks. Very nice. Floyd doesn't care. He says, I'm comfortable. Feels good to me. So Floyd Cramer, fantastic piano player. I had always thought of Floyd Cramer as just another country artist, but then I read the biography of Nicky Hopkins, piano player who played for Quicksilver Messenger Service and played with the Beatles and lots of people. And he was a huge Floyd Cramer fan, so that sort of made me take a second listen to Floyd, and I really like his music now. So this is on RCA Victor Records. This is really one of these very cool inner sleeves. This says, enjoy the music you want when you want and hear it right. This record is designed to give you many years of trouble-free listening pleasure. Well, it's working. It's continuing to work. The Beatles recorded the song in 1963 for their very first album, Please Please Me. I am going to do a needle drop at the end of this video, and we'll play the Beatles version on here because I think this gives me an opportunity to use a Beatles song, because I think it won't be copywritten because they didn't write the song. If you don't hear the song by the Beatles at the end of the video, then you'll know that I wasn't able to use it. So, but they recorded it for their very first album in 1963. Please Please Me. This version that I'm showing you is that's a 2012 reissue on this Parlophone label for that one. Billy Vaughn liked the song so much that he recorded it again on this record called Pearly Shells in 1964. It's a different version. This is a much more upbeat version. I guess he modeled it kind of after the Herb Alpert version, I suppose. Maybe that's what happened, I'm not sure. But yeah, completely different version. Well, yeah, I've obviously become very confused here. We haven't we haven't seen a Billy Vaughn version yet. This is the first Billy Vaughn version. We're gonna see another. We're gonna see another Martin Denny version here in just a second. But yeah, this is the only version, as far as I know, that Billy Vaughn recorded. So Billy Vaughn, very extremely cool looking guy, isn't he? From Bowling Green, Kentucky, up there, big band, saxophone player, and then sort of had a big band. This is a fantastic record, instrumentals. There's the track listing for that one. So Billy Vaughn. Pearly Shells, this sort of has the same thing, telling us how great vinyl records are. I like that. And this is what really has always been one of my favorite labels. I just love the primary colors there they use for Dot. Probably the biggest version, I think the most well-known version, is probably the Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass version on this record, Whipped Cream and Other Delights. I think this is probably the most well-known album by Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass. Best-selling album from 1965 on A&M Records. All the songs on here are food or things that you can eat. Peanuts, Lollipops and Roses, Butterball, Ladyfingers, El Garbanzo. Obviously just a classic, iconic album cover. And that is on A&M Records, which was Herb Alpert's label. The Beatles recorded it in 1963 and released it on that first album when they but I guess it was not on the American version, the Meet the Beatles album, and so it was finally released in the United States on the Early Beatles. Early Beatles, which came out in 1965. I like this album cover. It seems like it's kind of modeled after the Beatles for Sale album cover, the UK album, Beatles for Sale. But this is the Early Beatles, so this is a compilation album of some songs that were left off of the American versions of albums. I think this might be around 1978 or so for this orange label. Here's the Martin Denny that I mentioned earlier. So yeah, on this version, on this one, there's a good picture of Martin on the back. On this one, he is doing a completely different version. This is, like I say, a little bit more upbeat, probably more like the Herb Alpert version. More like that. Love that album cover too. Fantastic album cover. Just the bits of color there in the bottom. And that is on Liberty Records. I think I probably need to get a new inner sleeve for that one. Liberty. The Hollies. The Hollies did a UK band, the Hollies. This is their Beat Group album. Beat Group came out in 1966. This is a 2011 reissue on Sundazed Records. A mono reissue, I believe. Yeah, it is a mono reissue on Sunday. So Hollies. Fantastic, but I think they were a lot bigger in England than they were in the United States. I think they had a ton of hits in England. Very well known here for Graham Nash was a member. Here you can tell they haven't really switched their hairstyles yet. On the back they're using sort of like the Everly Brothers type hairstyles. Here is Graham, and this is the other guy. What is his name? Hicks. I'm not sure what his first name is. But yeah, the Hollies Beat Group did a version of it, and like I said, this is a 2011 reissue. It has this. They used the original Imperial Records label. I like that label a lot too. It's a good one. Chet Atkins did a version. Chet Atkins did it on this record. It's a great world. It's a Guitar World. 1967 on RCA Victor. Oh, look at all those Country Gentleman guitars. I guess those are probably all Country Gentlemen's. Or something like that. International Guitar of Chet Atkins. That's also on RCA Victor. I wanted to mention that I don't have the record, but Barbra Streisand used to sing the song. It's on her debut album, her very first album. Barbra Streisand did a version of A Taste of Honey. And oh yeah, I was going to say that the movie was it was made into a movie. It was a British movie. I've never actually seen it. It sounds like it deals with some pretty serious subject matter. It's about, it sounds like it's about a British schoolgirl who's growing up with her mother, and her mother moves out and leaves her there by herself, and she's only like 15 years old, and she falls in love with a sailor and becomes pregnant, and then he has to leave. And so yeah, I've never seen it. Doesn't sound like it's a comedy. It sounds like a pretty serious film. So yeah. And then Jesus and Mary Chain surprised everybody by doing their version on their very first album, Psycho Candy. Jesus and Mary Chain. Very first song on the album. Wait a minute. There might be, maybe it's Just Like Honey on here. So not exactly the same song, but anyway, just gave me a good excuse to pull out this Jesus and Mary Chain record's very cool. Has some of the words here on the other side, and it's extremely cool. Extremely cool photos on the other side. Just the first Jesus and Mary Chain record. So yeah, that's it. So the song for this episode of How'd That Go is A Taste of Honey. A Taste of Honey. Written by Bobby Scott and Rick Marlow. So stay tuned, and we'll hear a needle drop with a vocal version of the song. And that's it. I hope everybody's doing well. And let me know what you think about this song. And thanks very much for watching.
A taste of honey, tasting much sweeter.